Indeed, what the history of last 60 years has been is there has been a mixture of, as it were, military and diplomatic efforts, so that by now most of the Northeast feels it is actually genuinely part of India. But there is no reason why it should be so, because in the narratives of Indian nationhood, the Northeast played no part whatsoever. No Indian king of any religion, neither Guptas nor Maurya nor Mughals, ever got to Assam. Assam is not even part of the national anthem, if you think about it. Sing it in your head, and you realize it's not there. And I think the integration of different parts of India is our first class. Secondly, the whole story of Hindu India completely leaves out the Dalits. All the story, how glorious the religion was and how philosophical it is, and now we talk about Advaita and so on. Completely on the fact that those who were talking about Advaita were leaving out a considerable part of the society and oppressing them. And I don't know how one can reconcile philosophical heights with such gross oppression of a part of your own people. You know, it's not that one wants to forgive slavery, but the American slave who went from Africa to America confronted the Europeans, and it has taken America 350 years to finally embrace the equal citizenship of black Africans and white Europeans. And that's what will happen tomorrow when Obama gets inaugurated. But in this case, it was not even any foreign nation. It was the own people of India who were being excluded out of the narrative of what India was India. And indeed, I think people like Ambedkar and Ramaswamy Naikar and Jyotirao Phule had protested. And indeed, there was a case when, just before the British were about to leave India, people like Ambedkar and Naikar wanted the British to stay because they were not quite sure that their rights would be guaranteed if the British were not there. This is actually recorded in Indian history, because they were not sure that after independence, those who will come to power would see them as equal parts of India. But their fears were to some extent not true. Yes, there is still a big struggle for social equality in India, and I do believe that that is the biggest struggle India right now faces, and it is trying to meet that challenge, whereby people of different castes, women and men, different tribes, all those people would feel to be socially equal parts of India. But that is the experiment over the last 60 years, which has been the most thrilling experiment. I take the view, and I want to urge upon the view, that India may be an ancient civilization, but it is a young nation. It's a nation with a history of 61 years. What was born in 1947 was and is India. Because India, which was pre-partition, was only India because the British happened to rule over that territory, because the British drew the boundaries of that India, because the boundaries of India had never been drawn before in its history. No Gupta or Maurya or Mughal king drew the boundaries between India and Tibet, or between India and Afghanistan, or between India and Burma. What we know to be India, either before partition or after partition, has been a construct of 19th century. Administrative unity that the British imposed on India gave it a shape, a territory, a size. And then we tried to find stories to celebrate it as being eternally always there. But it was never eternally always there. What is there now, since 1947, after the partition, is the India that has survived what was created in the partition. Pakistan broke up into two, and India survived. And the reason why it survived is because it is a unique experiment in creating a category which is not religious, it is not tribal or ethnic. It is a category of being citizen of the Democratic Republic of India. And for the first time in Indian history, ordinary Indians had a say in how they will be governed. There are all sorts of stories about how India had republics in the 5th century BC and so on, but none of them was a democracy. No previous Indian king or anybody else recognized the equality of all Indian citizens with a right to vote. The fact that Indians had, for the first time, had all equally the right to govern themselves was a revolutionary decision by the founding fathers of India. And this is why relating that experience to an earlier history is futile, because the earlier history completely denies the equality of all Indians. It completely denies the right of all Indians to rule themselves. It completely denies rights like free speech, right to private property, right to be anywhere, right to work anywhere. And therefore, what's very important is that we don't search in the roots of history for the reason why India is a great nation. We celebrate the present. Yes, it's an imperfect present, and the present has to be improved upon. Every nation has to again and again retell the story of why it's a nation. America was a nation of white Anglo-Saxon settlers in the 18th and early 19th century. By the end of the 19th century, it was a nation, thought of itself, a nation of white European Christian, Protestant people. After a while, not just Protestants, but Catholics became part of America, and therefore white Christian Europeans. Now, nobody would say that. Now we will say the whites and blacks and American Indians are all part of America. America has changed story of its own nationhood every 50 years or so. And there is no reason why India should be stuck with an old story and not rethink itself. And a real thought history of India would be the story of India as it were, born on Nile Forest. And yes, it has its old civilization. But what's valuable is not the old, what's valuable is the new. What's valuable is not the past, what's valuable is the present. And what the present generation, what the 60 years has achieved, has never before been achieved in India. Unity, a single government, a nation of equal citizens, struggling to establish equality, social and economic equality for its citizens, but all the time trying to do it in a consensual, as far as possible, non-conflictual way. And if we celebrate that, then we don't have to wreck ourselves on the storms of communalism and secularism, because I do believe, although many people feel that's an important issue, that is an irrelevance if it's not revising. Let us say that being citizen is the most important thing, and what your religion is your private matter. What is important is that we are all part of India, people born here, who live here, who vote here, who run their lives here, and the fact that they do it together in this way is what defines India to be. And therefore, the choices for India in these troubled times are to assert itself as a unique creation, which will go on growing, because it is something that all Indians have created together, and it has not been a gift of any foreign or domestic power, any foreign or domestic leader. It's a creation of everyone, and that's what makes India unique. And that is what we have to take away with us to chart our way through the troubled times which will no doubt be ahead. Thank you.